Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got Tim Fitzpatrick on the show. Tim, welcome.
Chris, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. And Tim is the President of Rialto Marketing, and I just found out you're actually based over in Colorado as well. So
yeah,
I've been interviewing a lot of Colorado entrepreneurs coincidentally lately, which is a pretty neat thing.
There's plenty of us.
Yeah, there are quite a few. I know you were joking too that Denver is kind of becoming like the new Silicon Valley with so many people moving in and tech and all of those types of things. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick for the audience? Like, who are you? What's your background? Have you always been in the marketing game? Would love to learn a little bit about you.
Cool. I love it, man. Thank you. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area in Northern California. I was not one of those entrepreneurs that was, selling baseball cards or, finding stuff at garage sales and reselling it. Man, the only thing I cared about when I was a kid was just going out and having fun. I played soccer, I rode my bike, played baseball, all that stuff. So when my entrepreneurial journey started right after I got out of college, I ended up getting involved with the wholesale distribution company, and I became a partner in that company. We grew that company at about 60% a year for almost 10 years, and then we sold it in 2005. Man, I learned more doing that in 6 months than I did in 4 years of college. It was just,
I bet.
I soaked it up information like a sponge. It was an amazing experience that I am so grateful to have had. And after that, I worked for that company, the company that bought us for another 3 years. And just after that is when I moved to Colorado. I moved to Colorado in 2008 with the company. And then we all know what happened in 2008, 2009. I actually got laid off in 2009 from the company that bought us, which is not as happens more often than people might think. But at that point, I was like, man, I've been in this distribution game for over 10 years now. What's my next chapter going to look like? And I had always been interested in real estate, especially from an investment standpoint. And so I said, I'm going to get into real estate. I'm going to get into residential real estate, learn the business that way. And most people would be like, dude, are you crazy? It was like
the market just
late
crashed.
2009 at that point. Well, there's opportunity in every market. And
for sure,
I started door knocking people that were in foreclosure, and I was doing short sale business at that point. But it was just not my thing, man. Dude,
I've never knocked on a door. I don't think I will.
Oh, dude. You know what? It's a great this because you're an agent. Being an agent can be a great way to make a living. It was just not my thing. And I got to a point about 2.5, 3 years in where I was like, oh my God, I have to get up and do this again tomorrow. I hate this. Why be in business if you hate what you're doing every day? So at that point, I was like, man, I got to shift gears. And so I thought about what I loved about distribution, where my skill sets were. And that's when I got involved in marketing, which is what I'm still doing today. And we primarily work with service-based businesses, just helping them simplify marketing so they can grow with less stress. Marketing, you don't have a business if you don't have marketing. So
true.
Super, super important. And for a lot of people, they're just overwhelmed by it. There's so many different marketing channels. And it's like, oh my God, where do I even start? And it doesn't have to be that way. And so we help people push through that and start getting consistent, repeatable results.
Awesome. Get to hear a little bit about the background in like the distribution company and then the real estate and then the switch. And I kind of resonate with that too a little bit because I love working with clients. I love helping people. Just the daily grind can sometimes be like you said, when you wake up and you're like, do I really want to do this? And so for me, I'm kind of transitioning in a way where I'm removing myself as the person directly working with clients. I'm like the client facing, say hello, what do you need help with? And then I kind of hand them off to the person who can help. But like you said, to get that in general, it's all about marketing, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The marketing fundamentals. There's so many fancy things and advanced strategies and retargeting and different things like that we can talk about in terms of marketing and advertising. But it all goes down to the fundamentals because so many people, you look at their social media, they haven't posted in 2 years. You're like, are they still in business? Like they don't have a newsletter. And so let's dive into that. I know you said there are 3 steps that we can talk about. Let's feel free to kick us off.
Cool. So the reason that I focus on the fundamentals is because so many people don't.
They skip over it.
They skip them. They're not sexy. They're not cool. They're the same today as they were 50 years ago, and they're going to be the same 50 years from now.
Right.
Okay. But the thing about the fundamentals in any discipline, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about marketing or not, the fundamentals lay the foundation for you to be successful moving forward. One of my favorite quotes about the fundamentals is from Michael Jordan, and he said, get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise. What happens with so many people in marketing is they just jump to tactics immediately. And they're like, oh yeah, I put my website together. I did some SEO. I was on social and none of that stuff worked. Well, it didn't work because you put the cart before the horse.
Yes.
You have to do the fundamentals first. It was probably the right tactic at the wrong time in most cases. So when I look at the marketing fundamentals, I call them the marketing strategy trilogy. One, and this is where it's number one for a reason, because it's where everything starts, is your target market. You have to know who your ideal clients are in your specific target market. And you need to know who you're going to serve and how you're going to serve those people. If you skip that, you are trying to blast stuff out to everybody and you're just going to get overwhelmed. You cannot focus on everyone. No, I have not come across a small business that has a budget to target everyone. Okay. It's just not possible. So forget it.
Right.
Now, once you know who your ideal clients are and you really understand them, right? You can enter the conversation that they are having in their head as it relates to what you do. Then and only then can you move to the second step, which is your messaging, which is how you communicate your value and what you do. And you have to do that clearly and consistently to be able to engage people. But you can't create good messaging until you know who you're trying to reach. And then the third part of the trilogy is you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan of how you're going to get that message in front of those people. But you can't create a plan until you know who the people are and what you're going to say to them. That's what people skip. Inevitably, almost everybody that I talk to, I can't even think of a case where I haven't talked to somebody that has a marketing roadblock of some kind, and I could not trace it back to at least one of the fundamentals. Most times you can trace it back to multiple fundamentals that they may have skipped them, or they may have just not given it as much time. And because of that, they missed something. And when you correct that, then all of a sudden what they start to do becomes much easier and simpler, and they start to get better and better results.
That's so true. And I love that you call it a trilogy, because I mean, you really need all three of those things. You need the target market, the messaging, the plan, because you need the first thing before you can go to the second step, right? If you don't know who you're going to target, how do you know what to tell them? And then if you don't know what to tell them, like what's your plan? If you don't even, you can't post anything if you don't know what your message is. So it all ties together, and they're very important. And I love that how you also said it's a foundation for success, because if you have those things, everything else becomes stronger and you become better, I guess, with your business, how you help your clients, how you serve your customers. So what would you recommend to someone who maybe has not even done this exercise at all, or maybe they're trying to throw anything at the wall and see what sticks? I mean, where do they start? Is there like a little exercise? Do they just brainstorm who they want to target? You're going to start with your target market, and I'll give your listeners some easy tips to get started. For people that have already been in business, right? You have past clients, you have current clients. A really easy place to start is with those current and past clients. And I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. One is, who do we enjoy working with? Why bang your head against a wall every day? Okay. Right. You've got to work with people that you enjoy working with. 2, who are your most profitable clients? And sometimes your most profitable clients are not the ones that are driving the most volume. Actually, in most cases, they're not. You want to focus on the profitable clients. And the third question is, who do we do our best work for? Okay. When you ask yourself those 3 questions, you're going to have a group of current and past clients that you answer positively to all 3 of those questions. So every customer in that group you loved working with, they were profitable, and you did great work for them. That's where you start to look for your potential ideal clients. So you look in that group and you start to look at the demographics and the psychographics. Now,
The demographics you look at are going to be a little bit different if you're in business to business rather than business to consumer. But in general, the demographics just give us an idea of what these people are like. How old are they? Do they work in certain industries? Do they live in certain places? Do they live in houses that are $1 to $2 million? Whatever it is, you're just honing in on the details of who those people are. With the psychographics, you're starting to get into their head. What are the common problems they have as it relates to what you do? What are their goals, their aspirations, the results that they're looking for? The potential roadblocks that they're thinking about as it relates to what you do. That's when you ask yourself those 3 questions and you dig into the demographics and psychographics, inevitably what happens is 1 to 3 subgroups come from that. Those are your ideal clients.
I love that. As you were asking them, I could think of certain clients where I'm like, I can think of the ones that I enjoyed working with and the ones that I didn't enjoy. And oftentimes the ones I did not enjoy working with were the least profitable. And I did the worst work for them because it was like that thing where you wake up and you're like, I don't want to even answer this person's phone call right now, versus the ones that were super enjoyable.
So oftentimes too, it's the psychographics of the clients that really determine whether they were good clients or not, right?
Right.
In real estate, right? And it's the same for me, right? When we work with people that don't really value what we do and they're not invested in it, they're never good clients. They don't appreciate what you do. So that's why you want to get some of those things down on paper. If people run into roadblocks when they're asking themselves these 3 questions, the 4th question you can ask is, let me look at the clients I didn't like working with. What was it that I did not like about working with them? Oftentimes it's easier for people to look at and to figure out what they didn't like rather than what they do like.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck, ask that and then just flip it around, because the reverse of that is probably what you are really looking for in a client.
That's also helpful.
So you just get those down on paper. And once you know who those ideal clients are, now the next step is, where are they? Where are they congregating online and offline? You can't create that list until you know who the heck they are. But once you know who they are, now it becomes much, much easier to create a list of where they actually are. So I'll give you a perfect example. I put together a target market workshop that I did a while ago, and now I do it consistently. But when I first put it together, I was like, okay, let's just assume that I was going to target chiropractors as one of my ideal clients. I went online and I just started doing searches. Are there chiropractic associations? Are there publications like magazines or websites that they may frequent? Are there influencers in the chiropractic space? Are there podcasts? Are there YouTube channels? All of those things are places where if I'm trying to attract chiropractors, I might actually want to be. This is not rocket science. It's simple, but it's not easy. You have to do the work. But in 15 minutes, and I don't even target chiropractors, I had a 1-page list of, I think there was 15 to 20 things on there. If I had spent an hour, I could have easily had 2 or 3 pages, Chris. So, and once I do that, now I know I'm not going to be in all of those places, but I have a list that I can start to work on. Maybe I want to join the Chiropractic Association, start going in as a vendor member. Cool. Well, you're going to get in front of those people. And if you then create a good message, you're going to start to engage those people. So that's the easiest place to start with target market.
That's awesome. And I see you're wearing a funnel hacker shirt for anyone who's watching on YouTube. Yeah. Obviously, ClickFunnels, and I'm sure you've read some of those books, like .com secrets and expert secrets. And I guess traffic secrets is the third one. I've read all those as well. And I'm a big Russell Brunson fan. And I know he talks about this, the Dream 100, and maybe he might have borrowed that from Chet Holmes. I forget who talked about the Dream 100, but just like you said there, once you create that list of either Dream 100 guests or businesses that you'd like to do business with or work with or interact with, and then start to reach out to those people. Once you identify, you got to do a little bit of that soul searching. Who do I want to focus on? Who do I work best with? And that's when you can start digging in and creating that list of who you might start to reach out to. Yep. That's awesome. It. So target market, that's a great exercise. And even that question where you said, who do I not like working with and why? I can think of a few examples. And I'm like, well, always called me, wanted stuff ASAP, thought that they were my only client, the list goes on. So target market. And then in terms of the messaging, when you're communicating your value, I know that and the plan kind of tie together, but is there anything in terms of the messaging? Is it like a core value that you're always harping on, or a couple?
Yeah. So once you know your target market, then you can start to create good messaging. With messaging, we use a storytelling framework. I did not come up with this, Chris. If anybody that's listening or watching is familiar with StoryBrand from Donald Miller, we use a modified version of that. And when StoryBrand was introduced to me, it really resonated with me. It was easy to understand because so many people struggle with their messaging. And with StoryBrand, they didn't invent this. They have modified, the hero's journey is a common storytelling framework. It's been around for, I don't know how long, but a darn long time. Okay. But they really popularized how you can use the hero's journey to invite your prospects and customers into a story where they are the hero and you are the guide. And when you have a framework that you use to create messaging, it helps you keep things consistent and clear and engaging, right? When you use a framework, you eliminate two of the most common mistakes people make with their messaging. One is they make it difficult for people to understand, and confused people, we lose them, and confused people do not buy. The other thing is too many people talk about themselves. Our customers don't care about us. What they care about is how we can help them solve the problem that they have and get from where they currently are to where they want to go. That's it.
Yep.
And if we can help them do that, then that's why they care. So our messaging needs to focus on them, not us. So our customers aren't looking for another hero, right? If you think about heroes in most stories, Chris, man, they're stuck. They're like, oh my God, I don't even know what the hell to do, right? Luke Skywalker's like, oh my God, I want to become a Jedi. And I got to defeat the evil empire. What the hell am I going to do? Well, he meets, I don't know. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I don't remember which one it is, but in one of them, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, or it's in the early ones, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, right? He talks to them. Well, they're the guide. Hey, Luke, I've been there, man. I'm a Jedi now. I know what the hell to do. You need to do 1, 2, and 3. So go do it. All right. That's what they do. Our customers are looking for a guide that knows exactly how to solve the problem they have and can tell them very clearly, these are the steps you need to take to get to the other side. That's why I love this framework. And it just makes, at this point, there's thousands of businesses that have used StoryBrand. It is effective, it works, and people just get it. That's what we use to get that messaging. Once you understand your target market, that's the tool we use to create your messaging. And then from there, you can start to create a plan of how you're going to get in front of those people.
Awesome. And then in terms of the plan, do you have a certain thing that you recommend, or tools like Buffer to schedule out social media posts? I'd love to hear what your main core plan, like if we're talking about fundamentals, obviously email, newsletter of some sort. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's important.
Here's the plan. It's a 90-day plan, 6 steps. Okay. It's 90 days for a reason. 90 days is long enough to start seeing results, but it's short enough where you can start to make course corrections. Your business is evolving. Your marketing needs to evolve with it. The other thing about a 90-day plan is it keeps things simple. You try to create a 1-year marketing plan, it's going to be complex. You're not going to implement well. It's like complexity is the enemy of results. We need to keep things simple. So here's the plan. This is like 1 or 2 pages. First step, target market. I want to see a minimum of a paragraph for each ideal client type you have. It's in the plan because we need to keep it top of mind of who we intend to work with. Second step, what's your goal? What's my goal for the next 90 days? Specific, measurable, it's time bound, right? I intend to bring on 5 new clients in the next 90 days. Now, what I tell people is that's an outcome-based goal, which I'm sure you've seen this, you're familiar with this, you set a lot of goals. Man, outcome-based goals, there are a lot of things beyond our control there so we may do everything we possibly can, but we don't hit the goal. So I always tell people, look, it's important to know where you intend to go, where you want to go, but don't get so caught up in an outcome-based goal that it doesn't motivate you because you're afraid you're not going to get there.
Right.
Focus on the activities you can take, right? Third step, what's your budget? What are your resources? We have to know what we have to work with because, we may bite off more than we can chew. So do I have $500 a month? Do I have 5,000? Resources, time, and capability. If it's me or people on my team, how much time do they have and how much capability do they have? If Joe in my office has 5 hours a week and I want him to do my email marketing, but he doesn't even know what the first place to start. Well, I either got to level him up or I got to find another way to do this. So make sure that you're putting the right people in the right seats as you start to implement your plan. The fourth step is what's your current marketing plan? This gives us a baseline. We can't identify what we need to do to get to where we want to go until we know where we're starting from. It's like my GPS. Can't tell me how to get to DIA, the Denver International Airport, until I tell it, hey, I'm starting from Denver or I'm starting from Highlands Ranch. Most people don't have a plan, Chris. That's okay. In this section, I just want you to write down what you have done and what you continue to do in your marketing. Then the fifth step is what am I going to focus on in the next 90 days? And this is going to be based on where you're starting from and the budget and the resources you have. Most people say to me, well, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. I'll give you 4 quick places to start. Fundamentals. If you do not have them in place, you gotta
get those in
target
place.
Market, messaging. You're going to waste time and money if you do not get those in place first. So take the time to do it right. Target market, messaging, your website. Everything you do from a marketing perspective drives people back to your website. I don't care if your business is 100% referral. People are going online to check you out. And if your website sucks, you're losing business and you don't even know it. So those are the first 3. The last one, easiest place to start, is what's already working. Why reinvent the wheel? I guarantee you, there is a very high likelihood you have not optimized to its fullest extent what is already working for you. So go back and look at what's working and start at the end and work your way backwards as to how that process is flowing and look at, are there gaps that you need to plug? And or are there other opportunities for you to continue to do more of that? So optimize what's already working first, then you can start to jump into other tactics.
Awesome.
And the last step is metrics. What the metrics are what you're going to measure that are going to help you determine whether the actions you're taking are actually working or not. Most people have no idea whether their marketing's working because they're not tracking any metrics. Here's my guidance on metrics. Tons of vanity metrics when it comes to marketing that don't matter. I don't care how many followers you have on social media, how many people are on your email list, how many people are liking your posts. Are you generating leads and are you converting those leads to customers? That's what matters. So the first place I recommend people start with metrics is how many leads are you generating? Where are they coming from? Because that's going to tell you whether some of the things you're doing are actually working or not. And then the last one is how many customers am I converting? How many new customers do I have? There are so many business owners that don't even know how many leads they need to get a customer. But when you track this for a period of time, you will know exactly that. And man, that is super empowering. Yeah. Because then you can start to work your way backwards and go, okay, well, we want to get to here. How many customers do we need to get there? Well, how many leads do we need to generate to get to that end result? Most people can't tell you that, but if you track those numbers, you'll be able to determine that with pinpoint accuracy. So that's a simple 90-day marketing plan. And at the end of 90 days, you look at what worked, what didn't, and you wash, rinse, and repeat. You just keep doing that every 90 days.
That's awesome. And I wanted to touch on one point you mentioned there too, is like the goals that we set for ourselves. Sometimes there are things outside of our control. And I remember hearing there's an internet marketer, maybe you might have heard of him or come across him, Miles Beckler. He's like all into the digital marketing space. He's probably got 100 or 200,000 plus subscribers on YouTube at this point. But one thing that he mentioned was track your inputs, like that's kind of what we talked about on your show too. Mm-hmm. Sure, I want to make $1 million a year or a month or whatever the numbers are, but what are the steps that I need to actually take and that I can track?
Yes.
Like how many posts am I sharing? How many emails am I sending out a week? And then you can track those types of things. And that way you don't get as discouraged when you don't hit your goal. You can look at the actual things like, what did I actually do this year and this month and this quarter that is contributing? And the thing about the 90 days too, that you said that I really loved is it's enough time where you can see results, but it's also short enough period where you can course correct. So you're not just committing to something for 90 days straight up, you're testing it and you're improving it as you go. So very good.
Marketing is all about testing.
It's all testing, split testing, and love it. And even in the real estate game, if you're doing direct mail or anything like that, a lot of people split test the color of the letters that they're sending, the text. They have different phone numbers at the bottom using a tool like a call rail, where if they get a call off of one number, they know it came from that yellow letter. If it came from this other number, maybe it came from that, like, I don't know, regular white piece of paper that had like different text. And you want to make sure to test as well, whether it's Facebook ads or marketing or what's resonating with your audience.
The important thing with split testing is you need to change one variable at a time.
Yeah.
If you change too many variables, if I'm sending out a yellow letter and a white letter, everything else is the exact same.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't know if it was the text or the color.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, and that's why testing takes time, right? But it's those little incremental improvements over time that can make all the difference in the world. So if you are doing split testing, just make sure you're testing one variable at a time.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. That is a hugely important thing to consider. Awesome. So split test. Is there anything else you would recommend that we did not cover? I mean, those fundamentals, I know sometimes it's not super sexy. It's not like a crazy hack. It's just doing the things that work. Why do we like get away from we try to reinvent the wheel. You said that saying earlier, when the wheel is working, like we need to go back to the fundamentals. But is there anything else in there that you wanted to add or that you think we missed?
I would just say, one, don't skip the fundamentals. Okay. I hope if somebody's listening to this, I hope they understand why the fundamentals are so important. The other thing that I would say that I see very frequently is, man, people they don't think long-term. And when it comes to marketing, yes, there are short-term wins that you can get. But if you think about marketing in the short term, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And you're not going to be happy with the results. You have to think long term. A lot of these tactics that we get into from a marketing perspective take time to build. And if you don't have the patience to do that, you're never going to be happy with it. And so, have patience, think long term, view marketing as an investment, not an expense. If you view it as an investment, you should be getting a return on that investment. But if you view it as an expense, it's something you can cut. And if you cut your marketing, it's not a switch you can turn on and off. It's a flywheel, man. You got to feed it.
Yeah.
And if you stop it takes a while to gain momentum. But once it gains momentum, man, you're going to be in pretty good shape as long as you continue to feed it. But if you stop feeding it, it's going to take you that much longer to get back up to where you were. So, man, just take a long-term approach, because you will be so much better off for it. People that view it short-term, they have these starts and stops, and they think they're getting somewhere, but they're really not. And a year later, they're nowhere. Whereas if they would have spent the time up front to do the fundamentals and be patient, they would have been way ahead of where they are a year from now. So
definitely. That's great advice. And I love what you said there. The difference between investment and expense. If it's an expense, it's something we can just, I'm going to cut it. When you're really shooting yourself in the foot because you need to be feeding your marketing and you're having a consistent budget. Otherwise, you're going to dry up your leads. And one guy, this kind of reminds me of what this one guy interviewed, Trevor Mock, mentions in his podcast often is hamster wheel marketing. We post on social media, we get a deal, we get a lead, everybody's excited. And then you need to do it again. You're always on this hamster wheel versus like evergreen, where you're creating content on YouTube and you're focusing on SEO and blog posts, things that will pay dividends down the road. 3 years from now, you'll still be getting business as long as your content is good and relevant. That's where we need to be, is focusing long-term, which is difficult. We like the microwave mentality sometimes versus the crock pot, but it's all about that long-term thinking.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So where can our audience go to connect with you? I see here you shared this in the chat, rialtomarketing.com/entrepreneur-motivation.
Yes. So if they go to that page, that is a page specifically for your listeners. There's tons of free resources in there on the fundamentals that we talked about today. They don't even need to opt in for those. Okay.
Cool.
If they're running into roadblocks as they work on this, or any marketing roadblock, just hit the get a free consult button. It's on that page. It's on our homepage at rialtomarketing.com. And I'd be happy to chat with you and help you push through those roadblocks and get some clarity on where you need to focus right now. Our social channels are on our website. Our podcast is there. Our blog, we put out a ton of content. So our website's a great place to go. If they want to connect with me personally, the best place to do it is LinkedIn.
Okay.
And on LinkedIn, I'm at linkedin.com/in/Tim P, as in Paul Fitzpatrick.
Awesome. LinkedIn, and then the link as well. And I'm assuming, I'm just thinking like a marketing person, you have a unique link per show you go on so you can see the traffic that you get sent over and which podcasts are paying off the most. Is that?
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I need to do something like that too, because right now I'm like, hey, I don't know where people come from, which podcast do they hear me on. But one Clubhouse room that I was in, if you've heard of that Clubhouse app, they mentioned the best way to probably track traffic is to have just a unique call to action link per podcast you do. So I see that's what you are doing. So it's very cool.
Yes. It's a little bit more work, but it's also, man, I've had hosts who are like, oh my God, really? You set up a dedicated page? So it's another way to differentiate yourself as a guest too.
Absolutely.
So, but you can track in Google Analytics how many people went to a specific page.
That's so cool. So that's another way of just knowing your numbers and looking at the data instead of just kind of going with the wind or seeing how things go, right? So you are definitely practicing what you preach here and what you've taught us today. And Tim, I really appreciate connecting with you and your time. And thank you so much for sharing those fundamentals with us, because that is what it all, success is based off that foundation that we build for ourselves and our businesses.
Appreciate you having me, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim. Talk to you soon.
You bet.
Hey everyone, Chris Bello here. Just wanted to thank you real quick for listening to the show, whether you're listening on podcast or YouTube or wherever it is that you may be listening. I wanted to make that quick offer about real estate help. I am in the real estate business. That is my main business, and how I make all my income and my living by helping others buy, sell, rent, or invest in real estate across the nation. If you have any questions at all, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. Again, that is chrisbello.com/real estate. I'd love to see if I can help you out in my markets. And maybe if you're in a market outside of the ones that I'm focusing on right now, I'd love to connect you with a real estate professional who can help fulfill whatever needs or services that you are requiring. So again, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. A great thing is when I connect you with a vetted professional, if I'm not able to help you myself, is whenever a transaction closes, I'm actually able to get a referral commission. So that can be a great way of thanking me for my content. It helps to support the show, and it helps me to continue to spend time bringing on amazing guests, doing these great interviews, spending a lot of time on creating content, and making sure that I can bring you the very best information that you need to grow professionally, emotionally, intelligently, and in every single area. We're all working on getting better at everything. And so my focus and expertise is in real estate. I'd love to be the one to help you again. If you're not interested in that, no worries at all. Please continue to listen to the show. Make sure you leave a review. It helps so much in getting new followers and sharing the message. And thank you once again for being a listener. I'll catch you on the next episode.